Right. All right. Get my lunch out of my teeth. Happy Valentine's Day. Good to see you guys.
That's exactly who you want to see on Valentine's Day.
Man, you have no idea.
Well, so you were, I know you don't like us spying on your radio show, but seemed optimistic about Trey. What's the
Yeah,
status?
it looks like he was able to practice yesterday, so it looks like he'll be able to go tomorrow.
So he was like, whatever protocol was kind of
Yeah,
cleared, or
it's what I think they call a concussion protocol. I mean, Bruce, I don't know much more than that. I mean, I got a lot going on, so J-Rock and the doctors tell me, and I react accordingly.
What were you missing with him out of the, besides having an eighth guy, what was
I
missing?
mean, I mean, listen, I still think, we put ourselves in position and it was a winnable game. Trey's a good player. He's a good player, who, he's had some really good games for us. He's had some other games that aren't so great, but, when he's a part of your main rotation, him not playing impacts it. And so just to have, your full allotment of players back that you're comfortable rotating through, I mean, obviously is a good thing.
You talked about how difficult it is to win on the road in the Big 12. Apparently Houston's undefeated on the road this year.
Well, it's big. It's hard to win on the road in any conference, and especially the Big 12. But listen, Houston is really good, and they got a sound plan. I mean, a very sound plan that travels well. They're great defensively. They're great on the glass. They have good shooters that are willing to let it rip, and if they're not making them, they have enough confidence to keep shooting them. So, they said they have a sound plan. They don't turn the ball over. They turn you over, and all those things equate to winning. And if you're sound in all those areas, I mean, that's a style of basketball that travels.
Do they look like the kind of team that you can speed up?
I mean, I don't know. I wouldn't. I haven't even thought about that at all. I mean, they have really good players. They have good guards. They have good bigs. I mean, I don't know what speeding up would do. I mean, I think that both teams are going to try to play to their strengths. Obviously, we're not going to be turning down fast breaks if we can get them. I'm not expecting to just have them, go right and left. But yeah, no, they're just really good. They're really sound. I mean, obviously, guys. Coach Shamson's one of the best coaches in the game, and he does an incredible job. And when you watch him as another coach, there's a lot of respect there. And I mean, I could go on and on and on about how much I respect him and what they're doing, and I enjoy watching them play. And I know it's going to be a challenge to play against.
Tommy, you didn't give Deli a whole lot of minutes in the second half. How do you gauge when you've got a player like him that's giving you some aggressiveness at the offensive end, but at the same time, maybe
he's got to play better. He's got to play better, and Deli knows that. We've talked about it. We need Deli shooting. We need Deli to be a catch and shoot player. I don't need Deli playmaking as much. I need Deli. I think one of the best things he can give us is an influx of shooting, and he has done that in stretches. And now, he's at a pivotal moment in his career as a developing player. You're at a higher level. The stakes are high. You got to figure out what you got to do to be effective and thrive at this level. And Deli can really shoot the ball. And obviously, shooting isn't one of our strengths overall as a team. It's one of his. Please give us more shooting.
When your program played Wisconsin last year, you downplayed significantly what happened 10 years ago. But then after the game, the players were like, no, it really kind of meant something. So I understand maybe you didn't want to make that public. But does what happened against Houston 3 years ago have anything to do with today?
None. Other than that I know, what it feels like to play against them, and I know it's tough. So there's no extra motivation. The motivation now, I mean, what's so different than now? Then you're in the Sweet 16 playing to the Elite Eight and all this stuff. Now you're in the same conference. You're going to be butting heads all the time. And you know what? We want to be at Houston's level consistently, and we know we got to earn that right. So, I'm looking forward to this game. No matter what the outcome, I'm looking forward to this game.
When you look at, obviously, KJ and all that he gives you defensively, but at times has turned it over in some unusual situations, is that just a matter a young guy, maybe the game speeds up at times too much for him and he makes those tough
I mean, we probably could look at every turnover independently and try to assess it. KJ's a really good player. And listen, guys make mistakes. One thing KJ consistently does, he outperforms his mistakes. And so there's no such thing as a perfect basketball player. It just doesn't exist. There's not a perfect coach, not a perfect person, definitely not a perfect basketball player. But when you have somebody who plays with great effort and impacts the game in so many ways, and they make a few mistakes, you're living. And obviously we're coaching him and trying to help him with some of those mistakes. He's listening to us, trying to fix some of those mistakes. But KJ outperforms any negative thing he does here and there. He outperforms it every game.
Even before the Kansas State game, the turnover numbers had started to maybe go up a little bit. Were you seeing anything from opponents where they were starting to anticipate passes?
I mean, not really. I mean, I just think our guys just got to be better. Just got to be better. A little more attentiveness. Can't be casual. And so I haven't seen anything. Like no trend or anything like that. And hey, listen, tomorrow you better be strong with the ball. If you're not strong with the ball, you're going to turn it over. I mean, so I think a lot of it comes down to this guys being strong with the ball, stronger with the ball, and it's a little more attentive. And obviously, hey, you maybe can have one, a few lesser risk plays here and there would be a good thing too, but it's always a fine line of being aggressive and, your turnovers. I mean, it's always a fine line. I mean, you could, I don't know, I guess you could try to hold the ball every possession and shoot it 29, punt it and not turn the ball over, but I don't know if you're going to win many games doing that. So, there's just, it's a little bit the give and take of the game.
That happened right before Houston. Is that like a wake-up call, guys?
I mean, listen. I mean, obviously, anytime we turn the ball over like we did in that game, we're going to address it. So, I don't know if a wake-up call is the right thing, but obviously, we know, turning the ball over 17 times is not ideal.
You said you were going to go back and kind of look at some of the ways you guys defended Doug McDaniel there in those ISO situations. Did you see anything that you could have done better there?
I mean, sometimes you end up in these stay switch scenarios. Maybe we could have made a little bit better decision here and there on some of them. Hey, the other teams have good coaches too, and they're going to put you in situations where their talented players can make plays. And he just ended up in a few situations down the front. And I mean, it's kind of tough if you have a guy that can make kind of a running 15-foot bank shot from the right side of the floor. I mean, it's one of those things I don't know. I mean, like, what would you do differently? Because that's probably a shot you're living with. That's a tough, contested 2-point shot. Guy made it. We move on to the next play. You know what I mean? And I guess I could go back and say, man, we should have trapped that. But, like, you also want teams to shoot tough, contested twos. They're going to make some of them. And he made a couple of them in a row. I thought we gave up a few too many layups in some of our coverages, that we could have been better at and made, better decisions. And guys were just in decisions, kind of help or stay switch, scenarios, and they just, we probably could have coached it better, and they probably could have made a little bit better decision in that moment.
In Kelvin's press conference yesterday, he was very complimentary towards this program, Luke, just everything. I mean, is that coaches often compliment each other, but I don't know if you have any relationship with him.
I've gotten to know Coach a little bit, just kind of being in the Big 12 in the years, and listen, got nothing but respect for him. He kind of, one of his first big coaching jobs was at Washington State, and obviously I was at, in Spokane at Gonzaga all those years, so there's just a little bit of maybe familiarity there. You just both been in the business a long time. So, he's played at McKale. He knows about McKale, so I'm sure he'll have his team ready to go.
That game, you talked about how, Jaden's not necessarily looking at you all the time. Sometimes he's out there calling plays on his own, and he talked about a particular play where, Caleb made the dunk down to Henry for the dunk. How often is that happening?
I don't know how often it's happening. I mean, JB, listen, he and I have a good line of communication in those games, and for the most part, if I'm telling him I think we should run something, he runs it. He'll periodically come to me and say, hey, what about this? Or maybe it's a tough moment in a game. It's loud. It's hard to communicate from the sideline to the floor. He has the ball in his hands. He's being pressured, so there's not a time to look at coach. You know what I mean? So in those moments, he's been great. and just kind of getting our team organized and doing things that winning point guards do.
We've talked a lot about, the free flow aspect versus running sets. In those instances where you get into the droughts for minutes, is that an instance where maybe we need to see more sets run at that particular
I
point?
mean, listen, it's one of those things, when you coach basketball, you can't live in revisionist history, because the games keeps coming at you. There have been times I've called a play and it sucked. There's been other times I haven't called a play and it's like magic. There have been times I haven't called a play and it sucked. There's been times I've called a play and it's worked really good. So, like, I don't know. I mean, I think that's just the game. The game. I mean, you're not. There's no. The beautiful thing about this game is there's a lot of gray, and for you guys, you try to make it black and white. I understand that. It's simple. When you coach and play it, there's a lot of gray. You have to be good in the gray, and so you know what? You're gonna live with some. You're gonna live with some good things, and you're gonna live with a lot of tough things too. You just gotta keep going. The game doesn't stop. You guys can make the game stop because you're analyzing it after. In the moment, it doesn't stop. So, you make decisions. Sometimes they're regretful. Sometimes they're genius. And that's every coach. That's every player. And the best ones just keep going and probably incrementally get a little bit better at making better decisions. So that's how I'm approaching it.
Check on Trey. Do you want to go back to starting him right away, or could he come off the bench to?
Yeah, I mean, I think if he's able to play, he'll start.
And what about, you'd mentioned, maybe Henry and Toby may play more together. Would that still happen, or because
I mean, it could for sure.
Yeah, okay. Because Toby did mention the other day there was a lot of adjustments. He thought, a lot of subtle adjustments. They just hadn't gotten used to it, and I wondered.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think they played fine together. I don't think there's a lot of crazy adjustments. I think they both just need to play the way they play and play the way they're comfortable playing within the system. So yeah, I mean, it's a lineup that if I think we can throw it out there and it can help us in segments of the game, we'll do it.
How do you feel like collectively your bigs match up with them? I mean, they have like these really good shot blocking team, but nobody will be over 6'8". I think they're really long and active.
Yeah, but they're long, they're athletic, they're active, they're tough. So hey, I'm excited to see how we match up against them. I mean, I know it's going to be a dogfight, and you know what? We want to stand toe to toe. I don't know. Maybe we get knocked down. But we're going to deal with whatever outcome happens, and this is going to be a great experience for us. Either way, and I know we're going to be better for it.
We talked about that 22 game, but I know you've learned a lot about Arizona history since you've been here. Anybody ever told you about the last time Houston was here with that Chase Budinger incident?
No.
Got stepped on. No, you never heard about that?
No.
It's one of those things. He got stepped on, and they made this big comeback and beat him. A lot of fans remember it.
I haven't heard that one, so maybe I need to get out more.
No, it's just one of those things. I mean, it's like one of those.
You're not
big
chronically online like some of us, which is a good thing.
Is that like a disease? Chronic onlineness? I definitely don't have that. Trust me, I definitely don't have that. I'm the opposite.
I just wondered if maybe somebody had mentioned to you, like, hey, last time Houston was here, one of the guys.
No, I mean, I do love those stories, Bruce, and I'm not making light of it. I just haven't heard that one. And, I love when people tell me stories about the past things. But, I mean, if we're trying to, connect a dot to say that tomorrow's game is going to be impacted because Chase Budinger got stepped on the chest, and when there's not one player or one coach involved in the deal, you and Brian are the only constants, from that game. And that's saying something.
All right. Thanks,
All right.
guys.
Thanks, guys.